It's Wednesday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And I'm Steven.
And we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a bunch of notes here in our Google Doc about the week that was in wrestling. And I was thinking about it today. It's always kind of a letdown to record the week after a pay-per-view. Right? Or is it just me? Because I was like, the shows were okay, I guess, this week. There were, a couple of memorable moments, but...
Depends on the show. Some of them are better than others, but
Yeah, I mean, coming off of the last 3 matches of Revolution.
Yeah.
Coming into this week, it's a little bit down.
We've got some fun matches to talk about, but it just feels like, okay. Well, part of that is because I thought Dynamite was kind of just okay, and I thought Collision was just okay as well. And more or less the same thing for SmackDown and Raw.
I'll be honest with Dynamite. I got about probably 3/4 of the way through, and I said I'm done. And then when I saw y'all's notes of what the final match was, I was like, oh, I guess I got to watch that. But if
that was the reason to watch the show.
Yeah, but if y'all hadn't put that note in there, would have never known, because that was tough to watch.
Collision was basically the same way. Collision was a good match in Danielson and Taylor, and then the rest of the show was like.
Yep.
Mediocre to like downright bad. I don't know how many Collision notes we have in the
There's
chat.
Yeah.
Taylor versus Bryan was better than it deserved to be. That's flat out, because for it having nothing going into it, Taylor actually went out of his way to make it better than it should have been with all the personal talk about Lee Moriarty and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I would, we'll have to talk about Hook on here, I'm sure. Yeah. I would much rather see Shane Taylor than I would see any more of Hook or Brian Cage or, the majority of people that are kind of focused this week in AEW. Like, I think Shane Taylor has a lot of potential. I also think the match was good because, of course, Bryan Danielson was in it. So there's AEW, there's this situation where it's like, some of the top guys are there that aren't injured. This week was a little bit weird, though, because there was no Jon Moxley. I think this is the first Dynamite and Collision he's missed in what feels like a while.
Yeah.
But, where's Ethan Page? Where are some of these other guys who actually have talent and skill, and why are they not being featured? What's happening? I don't know why. Again, the show feels so up and down in the moments. There's no cohesion that kind of flows through the whole thing.
Collision on general tends to me, it's a squash show at any given moment. It's random person that's over versus random person who's not over,
which is like a throw. That's a throwback. If you watch 80s wrestling, it's like that. But is that what people want to watch now?
But I did get a pop on Saturday night because Alabama Roll Tide Adam Priest was in one of the squash matches.
Now that was cool. Cool.
It was a little more than a squash match.
But that's the thing. That should have been less of a match than it was.
Yeah. But I don't know. But what are we? Let's get into Dynamite first before we hit back on Collision.
So I'm assuming this is a Steven note. Yeah. Tony Schiavone really enjoys shoving it up the rear end of Adam Cole.
That's a direct quote from that MFer.
I like the Tony Schiavone Adam Cole have a beef because they're probably super tight backstage, and so that's
I know that
fun.
He's tight with Britt.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're not tight, and maybe that's the problem. He's too tight with Britt.
I mean, the beginning of Dynamite felt very WWE.
It started with a promo.
Starts with a promo.
15-minute promo at that.
Not only does it start with a promo, it ends up in an impromptu match, which I can't remember the last time AEW had just a match on the fly like that. It's been a minute, if ever. And I thought the match itself, listen, it's Swerve and Samoa Joe versus the Kingdom, Taven and Bennett. Taven and Bennett are not any kind of a threat. It makes sense to put them in this match, though, because they're the tag team champions and they're the only tag team in the Undisputed Kingdom.
ROH tag team champions.
ROH tag team champions, yes.
They don't even go here, as some people would say.
Yeah. I did like sort of the match itself, though, because I think the match, they weren't trying to put on a classic. Instead, they were trying to tell a story, which is basically Swerve Strickland is a better wrestler than Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe has figured it out now.
Yeah, and he's full baby face at this point.
Swerve is full baby face. Although I thought the finish of the match, while I like the sort of story in it, the finish should have been, and I get that they're Ring of Honor tag team champions, but they are tag team champions nonetheless. Why did Samoa Joe not just choke out Swerve Strickland during the match? And then when Swerve is unconscious, he pulls Taven or Bennett over to then pin Swerve Strickland 1, 2, 3. Like, it was just, the order was weird.
Yeah.
To me. Because then if he does end the match, the heat's on Samoa Joe. You somewhat protect the tag team champions, where even though Ring of Honor, they are champions, you don't let them get beat in a thing. And then it escalates the story more between Swerve and Samoa Joe.
This is how much obviously the Tony Schiavone line is most of what I remember, other than the choke. I don't even remember who won this match. Who won?
Swerve kicked. He basically came in and beat the shit out of both of them while Samoa Joe was on the side, on the ring apron. Swerve gets the pin, and then when he turns his back,
Samoa sneaks up behind him.
Joe
and chokes
sneaks
him out.
up and chokes him, and then
I'll call back to the "Don't turn your back on me."
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
Again, like, a nice idea. It's a good little beat in the story. Just should have happened in the middle of the match and not afterwards. Because why would Samoa Joe want Swerve to win a match or show him up like that?
Well, I think they had a little bit of chemistry going there. They were, a little bit of a rivalry. Joe was trying to show off, if I remember, at the beginning of the match, taking everything on his own. He was going to beat him up all by himself. But
so
I don't know.
Who were the unprotected headshots?
That would have been in the hook and cage match after that.
Gotcha.
When they were just, and mind you, I get it. It's garbage cans. It's trash can lids or whatever. But those things add up, man.
Yeah,
they do. And it's like, no, here's my head. Let's go. I mean, but it's like, I feel like AEW goes out of their way to make poor decisions at times.
Well, yeah. So first off, the hook and cage.
Fighting for a belt
doesn't matter. This was the perfect opportunity to let Cage win and just throw it in the dumpster.
Literally said he wanted to do it. God, I'd never rooted for that man harder.
Are we missing something with Hook? Are we not seeing something that clearly someone in AEW management is seeing?
What are we missing? He's got potential, but why does he need to be on TV every week? Let him. I don't know, man. Let him work some indies on his own and build up. Put him on TV every once in a while if you want, but I don't know.
But they can see that he's not ready, right?
I mean, the crowd seems to pop for him occasionally.
But still.
Sure.
You got his dad pushing him so hard. I mean, he is pushing that rock up that mountain like he is a Greek mythology.
And good for him. That's what a dad should do.
But there are so many things about him I just don't give a crap about. And then they introduced even more.
Yeah. The Hook and Jericho tag team.
Nobody needs that.
They're going to be in the tag team tournament too, by the way. That's why they're doing this.
Yep. Sure. Well, I know why they're doing it. Because Guevara's out suspended because he didn't follow protocols with the Jeff Hardy thing.
So let's get to that. The Young Bucks do their big announcement and announce that there's going to be the tournament, which I think we all kind of knew about. And they quote unquote suspended Adam Page from the Elite without pay. And they quote unquote fired Kenny Omega from the Elite. Kenny sent out a funny tweet. Did I send it to you or just send it both of you?
I didn't see it.
It was just a picture of Kenny Omega from In Ring or something where he's like,
he's staring off in the distance with a confused face. Yeah.
And then we get Okada, which I thought was going to be this week a big business, but I guess they're making that all about Mercedes.
Well, I mean, if this was your first introduction to Okada, that one was rough.
Yeah, but I think this isn't his first time he's been in AEW. Right. He's had some matches. I did think that it was hilarious that the Young Bucks were trolling Tony Khan with the announcement, just the way they were holding the microphone
and their faces
being awkward. And they came to an announcement to just tease more announcements later in the show.
It was, it's so making fun of everything.
I kind of I dig the self-aware sort of Young Bucks as a heel tag team, especially with the guy like Okada that can actually be sort of the brute of it.
Is he though?
I'm not mad at it. Yeah, he's a legit 6'5" kind of guy.
I mean, the stuff that you saw in that first one with his introduction to Kingston and his, stutter hands of trying to get the Rainmaker.
I'll give you the execution could have been better.
And then you get the squash match, which is
you get the squash match on Collision, but the thing about the squash match that it at least did is it highlighted his moves, right? The drop kick, the flapjack, and then he hits the Rainmaker, and then on the run in with Pac, which fucking came out of nowhere, but I'm glad he's back. I don't know why he's invested in this angle unless to just eat a pin.
Get
the little air raid.
Kingston were in a thing a while back with the Lucha Brothers, right?
Death Triangle Part +1.
Yeah.
So what am I missing with Penta and the Young Bucks? Why did Penta come out? Because Penta's with buddies with Eddie, I guess.
I think it just goes back to they hate each other because they've just been constantly wrestling each other forever. It's the only thing I know. Heck, I didn't even recognize that was Penta at first. I thought it was Serpentico or whatever it was.
Yeah, You don't realize how much the rest of the get-up helps Penta until he comes out just in the mask, and you're like, that doesn't look as cool as when it's the full.
If he would have had on the Joker luchador mask, maybe.
But here's more obvious. Here's the problem with the presentation of Okada here. You have Ospreay who just debuted.
Yeah.
You got Mercedes who's getting ready to debut potentially. We're all assuming that's what's going to be tomorrow or today, whatever it is. You got Pac who's coming back. He is the least intriguing of everything that's going on in there.
I mean, he's definitely sandwiched between what feels like might be two bigger debuts. He's also 7 years older than Ospreay. So just, Ospreay's 30. I think Okada's 37. So you want to talk about just how much time they could potentially have in AEW.
Right.
But I think Okada's going to take the belts away from Eddie.
Probably.
And I think that's probably a right call. And I would sort of position Okada, at least for the time being, the same way that WWE has positioned Gunther, which is you're going to take these titles and kind of hold them for a while until the main event scene kind of clears up. Because we don't even know if Kenny Omega is even going to come back to wrestle. And some of these other guys might jump ship to WWE, and it seems like Okada has a pretty long contract here, so you have some time.
So Eddie's got a Continental Classic belt. He's got the New Japan Strong belt. Mm-hmm. He's got the ROH title.
Yeah.
The big title for
the
ROH.
World, yeah.
Does he go there and defend that? Or has that title just been kind of... I mean, I don't watch ROH enough to tell you.
I don't either. I know he's been announced for the... Well, now I guess it might be up in the air. He's defended it on pay-per-views. The only Ring of Honor feud that I know he's had has been with Claudio. And New Japan Strong doesn't have a television show, so it's just like events that pop up sporadically. And I don't even think New Japan cares about that title that much.
So it's for being a Triple Crown, it is probably the most worthless Triple Crown ever.
Yeah, I mean the Continental Championship could be something. I mean, it's another men's title, but like it only doesn't mean a lot right now because Eddie's been the only guy that has won it. But if that is the ROH title and they have a show, and he's not, it's not even, important to that show, evidently. It's not an important, it's FTW Part 2.
I mean, you can say the same thing about Roman Reigns.
I mean,
I disagree with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I guess because they want the thing of the 3 belts because it kind of looks cool, but it might be better if it was just situated into one little belt. And like I said, none of us watch Ring of Honor, so there might be video packages that have Eddie Kingston in there, but I don't.
So what does this comment mean? And then I want to get back to the tag team stuff. It says 1/2 still of the AEW tag team.
So they vacated the titles, the tag team titles immediately after that match. Went in the back of the thing, and they're vacated. Tony Schiavone comes out, Darby, and still one half of the tag team champions. No, MF, you are not still, you vacated them. I get that you have the belt in your hand, but that is, you have vacated them 3 days ago.
Tighten up, Schiavone. At least Darby did put the belt in the ring.
It was a good symbol. He laid it down.
Yeah. But it's little things like that. I mean, it's like, you have been talking all show about how they have vacated these things, how you're going to have a tag team tournament. And then it's like, but they haven't been vacated. And they did it again on... He
just left out the word former. He said one half of the former.
No, he said, and still one half. Well, he emphasized that. And they did it again on the Collision one when they were talking the Daniel Bryan match at the beginning there. They were talking about, oh yeah, the match with Ospreay is already set, and then Ospreay comes out later to set the match. It's like it's like they're recording it, those voiceovers after things have happened, but not paying attention to when they're recording them and what they're saying almost.
It's like, when you don't have a writing team and all of this is falling down on the shoulders of one person, these are the type of details that are going to get lost in the shuffle. Where someone easily in a room of writers could just be like, okay, well, make sure this is what he says because we've already done the vacating of the titles.
And I get it that it's a small detail, but I'm paying more attention to it because I need to be here to say something about it. But at the same time,
but those things add up, though. They do add up.
So who do you think comes out of the tournament as a winner?
We talking about the tag team?
Yeah.
Before we get to, they showed all those videos of the reign of the tag team champions. There's 2 teams that were not listed in there.
Oh yeah, the note said Jurassic Express, and
Jurassic Express never showed up in there.
Ricky Starks and Big Bill.
Ricky Starks, according to that breakdown, Sting took those belts off of FTR.
Hey, and Ricky has not been seen since they lost. There's not even been a mention of him. I think FTR wins the tag titles. I think you put it back on FTR and you have other kinds of tag teams that run up against them. I don't think the Young Bucks are going to be involved in this because I think the Young Bucks will be situated with Okada as basically Okada's mouthpiece that occasionally wrestle, I think. Or maybe that's how they should be presented.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know. I'm not sure if their plan is to go trios or if their plan is to go tag team and then have everybody do the belt collector gimmick again.
But yeah, I mean, you could, but you've already done that once. I think just having them be Okada's mouthpiece, let them get involved and throw some super kicks now and then is the better way.
But I definitely feel like we're going to get a BCC FTR match again.
Yeah. Hook and Jericho will probably make it pretty far.
Have they said how they're doing this one yet?
They haven't announced yet, no.
So we don't know if we're getting it like, elimination style or if it's going to be a 16-week back and forth.
Tag teams, it has to be elimination style, I would think. You can't do something like a Continental Classic with tag teams. It's too much.
Yeah.
Or are we going to get a 6-way fatal ladder match?
Jesus.
Well, I think because it is March style, March Madness, I think single elimination with seedings is probably the way to go. And you will probably have like Hook and Jericho will probably be situated as like a low seed that makes a Cinderella type run, blah, blah, blah. Like you can see that's where that story's going.
And that gets back to my thought on Collision because I'm sitting here trying to think I know FTR cut a promo and then somebody interrupted them.
The infantry.
And I could not remember who it was, but that's who it was.
Who is that?
It's 2 dudes that evidently were in the military.
Sean Dean is like on the staff of AEW, but I didn't realize that like he's actively wrestling in a tag team these days. Have they been in ROH or something?
From the video package they showed, they've been in ROH.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's even the promos were interrupted by people that were squashed or jobbers.
Yeah. Yeah, they have. The infantry has no business having a microphone. I mean, I'm sure they're great. They're probably great guys, but they've not been positioned in the same
FTR.
To interrupt FTR. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the highlight of the evening. Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher, and Fletcher's weird haircut. So we get a great match from them, and then Danielson comes out to kind of stare down Ospreay.
Well, I mean, obviously he's gone to Edge's barber. He got the recommendation. Edge was like, "These are the best, man."
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know I'm easy to please.
No, so it was.
This is Danielson and Ospreay. Like, cool, you got my $50 again for April. Congratulations, Tony. You don't need it, but you got it. I mean, that's all I need.
But yeah, this would if I had not come back to this match, this show I would have never seen the highlight of this show. And again, it goes to show you how, as much as Don Callis is a POS, he's still got a stable full of people that are talented. I mean,
yeah. How long Ospreay stays in the Don Callis family will be
hopefully not
yet
long.
To be determined. Probably, I mean, it can't be. Ospreay is the biggest babyface in that company right now. Probably right behind Swerve Strickland. It's like those two guys.
Yeah,
which I think makes for like I've said before, if I'm booking Wembley, that's the match. Those two guys, like the way the crowd reacts when Swerve's music hits and when Ospreay's music hit, the crowd and the attendance, it's different. They feel like they're about to see something cool and there's about to be a superstar come out.
And that says so much when you have some of those big names that are there that they don't get the same reaction as these two dudes.
Yeah, and some of the matches and stuff like that, like these crowds have to sit through so much. Like with Revolution, we talked about that last week. There was a bunch of mediocre to bad stuff before Ospreay came out, but when Ospreay's music hit, the crowd went crazy and they didn't stop for the rest of the time.
Well, I mean, it's the same way when at that Dynamite show we attended, there was a lot of stuff there that you're like, okay. And then Sting drops down, people popped.
Yeah. Because
that was the highlight. And I mean, it says something about Sting, but it also says something about everything that came before that too.
Yeah.
When, a 70-year-old guy drops out of a ceiling is the highlight of your 2.5 hours.
But Ospreay and Fletcher, fantastic. A great television match.
Yep.
I love the way the commentary played it up that these two guys know each other. I even love Fletcher's little, at the very end, on his knees, knows the hidden blade's about to come, just says bring it on. Ospreay gives him a clap because at that point, Fletcher's like, he knows he can't beat Ospreay, right? So just let the end come. I love the match, but again, there's certain things that AEW loves to put into matches that instantly make me go, why am I having to sit through this again and again and again? Stop with the back and forth chop of you can hit me a couple times, I'll hit you a couple times. I want you to hit me a couple times. If we are going for a real fight feel, outside of some huge names like, Muhammad playing rope-a-dope kind of stuff, nobody wants to take that shot just because it's going to be a lucky shot occasionally that pops off and suddenly you ain't looking so cocky anymore. The fact that they are trying to portray this as a real match and have people still doing this almost every episode drives me insane. But I think that's like we talked about, I think that is a critique of modern wrestling as a whole. I don't feel like that. I do agree with you that is kind of an issue and an overplayed trope, but I don't feel like that. Maybe AEW is more egregious with it, but like I think in the Karrion Kross Bobby Lashley match, they did the same thing. Like that's just a Japanese type of thing that has come over into the States because all these guys grew up watching this kind of stuff.
But I think that's the difference is you get an occasional one on one show, you get it flagrant. I mean, if you played a drinking game with that on AEW, you'd be pretty shit-faced pretty quick.
Like I said, it might be more.
I mean,
more
I'm
egregious.
usually pretty shit-faced on Friday and Saturday. But because like Fridays and Saturdays are typically, and Sunday for pay-per-views are my drinking days. So by the time these shows are on, I'm usually at least a drink, if not two in. So by the end of the show, I'm pretty hammered. So
we should play that game then. Don't drink unless you see the back and forth chops.
Nah, cuz.
I think you'll be fine.
I do have another note. Did you have anything else about Ospreay and Fletcher? Or?
No, I was going to talk about the Ospreay and Danielson promo from Collision.
Yeah. Well, just for the last Dynamite note, I think it's funny as hell that they've been pushing Wardlow down our throats so much about getting his title shot, and then he's getting it on a Wednesday night.
Well, hold on. That's not just any Wednesday night.
Yeah, but still.
That's one of their special Dynamites. I mean,
yeah.
I told you that there's no way they were going to do a pay-per-view that was headlined by Samoa Joe and Wardlow.
Right.
That just wasn't going to happen.
So if Wardlow does not win, can we all agree that the United Kingdom is a complete wasted faction at this stage?
I mean, I'm pretty much already kind of there at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it's going to take much to convince Patrick. I mean, maybe they can turn it around when Adam Cole's back, but do I want them to? No.
I think this
something
is
else with Adam Cole.
Sure, Roddy has the belt, but you forget that Roddy's in that group because that group is so just inconsequential at times.
Yeah.
Wardlow's in that group, but if he does not win, I mean, you might as well just say thank you for coming. You can go chill out over there with everybody else that's not being used on these shows.
I'm just curious to see how they get out of that Wednesday at Big Business. And obviously you're going to have Sasha debut. So do you have on that same show also an MJF return? Because I mean, MJF is the easiest way to get out of that, right? MJF does a run in, costs Wardlow the title, boom.
Sure.
We move on.
But why does he still care about Wardlow?
Well, because they cost him the,
Did they?
Well, they beat him. They beat his ass at the end of World's End.
Wardlow, I mean, was Wardlow involved in that? I don't think he was he?
And at the end of Worlds, they didn't cost MJF the match against Samoa Joe. They beat him down at the end of World's End.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. The devil mask and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
like that.
I forgot about the devil thing.
Yeah, there was a whole devil thing. Remember we talked about that we all just kind of put out of our misery. That's why I still say,
if you do that, does that take away from your Mercedes?
Well, that's what So do you do that at the same time?
Yeah, you don't. You can't bring MJF back tomorrow night.
So does Samoa Joe just beat his ass? What is? How do you do it? I guess my question is why are we doing this to begin with?
Yeah.
And why does it have to be at Big Business? Why could it not have been when
Dynasty?
MJF is healthy?
Or whatever.
Well, Dynasty, like I said, you won't convince me to pay $50. I done said I'd pay it for Ospreay.
But again, that doesn't. This is why what I continue to say about AEW's title. It is nowhere near the top of the card. Nowhere.
No, but that doesn't mean we have to have damn Wardlow.
So
be one of the guys
to me,
that
that's one of those. If he's not going to be on the top, which would be Ospreay Danielson. I mean, let's just be honest. That's going to be your main event. Would it open the show?
No, but I think the way they do Dynasty will be Ospreay Danielson and then Samoa Joe Swerve.
You think that'll be the main event?
Yeah, I think they'll do that the same way they did Revolution, which will be Ospreay comes on. I like that they backload it, because then at least when you get to the end of it, it kind of feels like a little bit of it goes by a lot more smoother than watching it at the beginning.
Because to me, that's not Swerve Samoa Joe is on certain cards that would be a main event. And maybe that's what I've got to look at it now, because we're coming into a time period where it's no longer 4 times a year. We're getting ready to be the 9 times. So you're going to have some throwaway pay-per-views for them. So maybe.
And you're going to have things the way the WWE has, which is we want to keep doing Swerve and Samoa Joe. That's our story, but we need to get there. So let's do a pay-per-view that throws Hangman in the mix and we have a triple threat, and then we come back the next month. Like that was classic Vince McMahon booking for the Attitude Era on, which is triple threat, the 2 guys you actually want to see, then a singles match or fatal 4-ways or whatever.
I've got to remember that we're shifting gears here of how AEW has traditionally done their stuff. Now, are they going to continue to have humongously booked shows, even though they have 9 of these now?
Probably.
Probably.
I mean, you're going to get your money's worth of matches.
Yeah.
Let's get into Collision in the Ospreay Danielson showdown.
Oh, I just liked the promo because it didn't feel like a promo. Like Ospreay comes out, it's like, can I get another mic? I want to have a chat. Like, here you go. Like, it felt casual. And he of course, he does the whole praise Danielson.
Yeah, cheeky slag.
Yeah, thanking Danielson for the, inspiring all these group of pro wrestlers. And then here comes the butt. And, this is an easy story.
Yeah.
People have called Danielson the best. People are now calling Ospreay the best. Let's see who's the best. Like, let's just go at it. I don't know. It's simple, but damn if it doesn't work. At least for me.
Nah, I did not hate that promo at all. I mean, I guess was that a pre-recorded collision or was
it
that
was yeah
okay. I was going to say because they were on that 7-second delay, real amazing. If not,
oh yeah. Ospreay talked about the one thing
He said goddamn.
He said goddamn. The one thing he's worried about coming to America is the cursing.
Now, but hold on. Why is that? Why did they bleep that when they let Jericho and other people say all kinds of stuff?
For some reason, I think you can say shit and you can say damn, but you can't say goddamn for some reason. Cable companies are very...
Christian Cage said, fuck you.
They bleeped that out, didn't they?
No.
There's been a couple of fucks that have slipped through on...
I thought they bleeped it out. Well, maybe they didn't. Well...
So that was so weird to me that
it's America. What do you expect?
Made me wonder what actually he said, if he dropped a C-bomb.
The God angle, right?
Yeah, the God stuff, I think, is really taking too far. But no, listen, the camera was in the right spot. Danielson on one side, Ospreay on the other, the backstage with the pay-per-view, like, that's it.
And you could see Ospreay walking around slowly to kind of set that up.
I'm a little bit surprised by his comfort level on the mic too. Like, we knew he was a great wrestler, and I knew he was a good talker, but like, he seems to have let his personality just kind of come out.
I think it shines better because of the lack of some of the other people on these shows.
Probably, and the fact that he doesn't feel like he's trying to play tough guy wrestler. He feels like
he actually believes he's the best in the world.
He feels like the superstar quarterback.
It's charismatic. That doesn't hurt.
He's the Ric Flair of this generation in the sense that he's living his gimmick.
Yeah. He's the best, and like, fuck it.
So do we have other collision notes besides the weird commercials?
I mean, was that just me, or did it was like
I didn't notice anything.
They would be in the middle of a promo or having somebody talk, and then suddenly it just jump over to a commercial.
Oh, there was one with, seems like Jericho was involved in something, and it was real weird timing. And now that you say that.
And then they had like Julia Hart cutting a promo, jump to commercial, come back out to House of Black, now somewhere else, cutting a promo.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Maybe I fast forwarded way too much through Collision to miss all that stuff.
It was so weird. It was like, I don't know if there was just somebody in the back that was just, half-assing their job or...
Well, if it wasn't live, then that was an editing choice.
Yeah.
It may have been a weird time issue.
They're cutting it for time, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. It was just really weird. What's in the box? I'm going to channel my Brad Pitt here. What's in the box?
Oh, I have no clue.
So the outside of it said Spike.
You talking about the Christian Cage? Yeah. Cope.
The outside said Spike. I don't know what's in it. Cool little wrinkle, though, I thought, to this, like, to make Christian be afraid. That is a storytelling beat. What's in the box? Now, I'm sure we're going to find out when they have their I Quit match coming up here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I don't know. Is it like a barbed wire baseball bat, or I'm trying to think between Edge and Christian's career if there's been anything iconic.
Tables, ladders, and chairs, but you ain't fitting one of those in that box.
And the concerto, that's kind of their two things. So I don't know.
So Edge, Adam wins. Copeland wins.
Yeah.
Where does that leave the patriarchy at that stage? Because while the dad angle is good, Nick Wayne ain't carrying his weight yet.
Yeah. I think the patriarchy just still continues. I don't think Christian necessarily needs a title, and he can kind of mentor Nick Wayne. I don't know who they feud with next. Has anybody else got a dead dad or dead relative on the roster that they can exploit?
We've already done Adam Garcia.
Let's say they've kind of probably run through the gauntlet at this point. So I don't know. It's
Sammy never mentions his dad, does he? It's always his mom.
Does he have somebody? Yeah.
I don't know.
I have a new crush in professional wrestling.
Please don't tell me it's Toni Storm as Mariah May.
It is Mariah May as Toni Storm. So you are close. Yes. Listen, I'm digging this woman. I don't know what you want me to say.
Here's my problem. Is like we had just discussed a week or two ago. Like she has the look. She's looked good in the ring in the squash matches they've had her in, right?
Yeah.
And she has the charisma. And I did pop when she came out at the pay-per-view in that costume at the music. I thought that was funny as shit. But to come out during the other night with it, I thought was a little weird. Although they have been kind of building her into sort of a crazed fan of Tony. But so that makes a little more sense.
They started that long ago. It got dropped, and now they're trying to circle back to it. And I feel like at this point we're in a rowboat trying to row our way out to a cruise ship that left 3 months ago.
Well, if I'm in that rowboat with Mariah May, I'll stay on that rowboat.
So I guess my question is, was that you behind the sign?
That was not me behind the sign. Although I did think the sign, that was we didn't talk about that. So yeah, there was a sign in the front row that said, Mariah, I want to be your ex-husband. And then in the Nick Wayne match, there was the sign that said Christian skips leg day. And that's the sign that Christian rips down. Yeah. And then Edge is behind there. So Edge had been hanging out, or Adam Copeland had been hanging out in the front row with that luchador mask. So when people went back, they were like, oh, that's pretty funny. Listen, I know it probably doesn't make any sense. This story's not as good as it could be.
I just don't. I'm tired of the timeless gimmick. I don't feel like I get that she's an attractive person, but she has no personality outside
attractive in its own might be a little bit of an understatement.
She has no personality outside of being somebody else. And that somebody else, I don't care enough about that she's being it. Then you throw in the virtuoso who is, please, just, you could take all three of them and move them out and give that time. I'd rather see Hook.
Oh no!
I'd rather
that's blasphemy.
Because at least then I know it's going to be quick and done.
What if Mariah being Tony Storm is what brings Tony out of her timeless era, and she's like, "Hey, that's my thing," or whatever. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, Deanna, I think on Twitter mentioned that now it's become a numbers game, and I have numbers too. Britt Baker has been nowhere to be seen. I'm thinking that that's probably she interjects herself into this story somehow.
She was on stage with Zach Bryan the other night. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, she was on stage singing, like her and somebody else were on a microphone just drunk singing.
So I don't know. That's something. Listen, I'm just saying, if I'm going down the list, Mariah May is somebody that I think you could put a lot of stock in. We don't know if she doesn't have a personality. She really hasn't had a chance to get on the mic or say anything. So
when you compare her to somebody like Tiffany Stratton,
yeah,
one of them has a personality. One of them don't. And it all comes down to you know how like you go see a band and some bands are like super energetic and they put on a show, and other bands, you got the guy just up there going, if I move an inch, it might have been too much kind of thing. She's that.
I'm saying I'm going to give her a chance.
Give her a year like we had with Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah. And a lot of this is just because Jamie Hayter's nowhere to be found. When Jamie Hayter is the true one that has my heart, but she's injured right now. So there's got to be somebody else on this roster. Ospreay has it for the men. And right now, because Jamie Hayter's out, I'll give it to Mariah May. But obviously the big question with the AEW women's division is Mercedes is about to come in.
Everybody is saying that this is going to change the women's division. And I'm begging AEW to say that's true. But at this stage, she would have to literally carry 30-something other women across the line at this stage.
But she, outside of, I would say, Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, she is the biggest star to come into this company from WWE.
You're saying bigger than Edge, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Edge, he had his time. But like, I say Moxley's number one, like we talked about. Moxley literally walked right out of WWE into AEW. Danielson is Danielson. He's a huge star. And I think Mercedes is third on that list. She's definitely the biggest women's star they've had
for sure
come in, and that's not even close.
I mean, Miro has got to be up there, right?
Recently divorced Miro. I don't know if y'all saw that. Yeah. But we'll see what Mercedes can do. I mean, I don't know how. If you want to take the title off of Tony Storm, there's a good way to do it that protects everybody, which is you get a returning Britt Baker along with Deonna that helps that end up costing Tony the title, give it to Mercedes, and then she can go on her excursion and have these kind of matches and everything like that. But I don't know. She definitely is a big star, and much like Ospreay coming in, she is going to expose a lot of these women and elevate the bar. How much she elevates it remains to be seen. But
jumping back, I don't think it's recent. I think he got divorced last year, and from what all the stories I heard, he's been in Bulgaria for like 6 months. Dealing with this divorce.
Well, damn.
Which makes it even stupider that I'm still angry about this meat sandwich match. How did you not know he was in Bulgaria?
Hey, listen. Miro.
If you refuse to take a pin on a regular basis,
it was cool.
You can fuck right off.
It was cool while it lasted.
I'm not going to book you, right?
It's just not. He ain't this.
So do we have any other AE notes before we switch gears to SmackDown and Raw?
Not. Why have they not just come out and announced that Mercedes is going to debut? Well, what is am I missing something about the secrecy?
We all know it.
Is it going to be fake Mercedes?
Well, like, since AEW wants to call itself more sports based, why not have a press conference and be like, our new signing is Mercedes Moné. Here she is. She's at the press conference. By the way, Boston, March, whatever, first match.
Is she actually healed?
I think so, because she has to wrestle Wednesday night. I would imagine there's going to be a part where Serena D was in the ring cutting a promo, and then Mercedes music hits and they have a match. I don't know. That's got to be the debut, right? Yeah.
It beats me.
I mean, at this stage, she might cobble out on a pair of crutches like Adam Cole. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. But, I mean, it should be big business should be a fun night, if nothing but for the sort of energy in the place. I think they're close to a sellout, or they already have sold out. You get the Okada thing in there. Jay White, Darby Allin should be an awesome match.
The only other thing I guess I want to say about AEW right now is, can we please stop having Jericho versus random luchadors?
I would be fine with, can we just stop with Jericho, period, for just a little bit?
If you're going to, I get that they're doing a Forbidden Door with CMLL, but if you keep introducing new people all the time, it goes back to, you're not giving us a chance to connect with any one of them. So it's just generic person that's getting thrown in here.
Well, I don't know why they didn't just hold off on the CMLL stuff until we get closer to Forbidden Door. We did the whole angle where the luchadors jumped Jon Moxley. That was 4 weeks ago.
And he's moved on.
Yeah, they've all moved on. So I don't know why that just wasn't closer.
Yeah,
to when the pay-per-view is going to happen.
Early.
Yeah.
And I know you love your Jeff Jarrett and Sanjay and all them.
That match was dog shit, though.
That was the only... Mark Briscoe got weaker by adding 4 more people.
That match was not good. And let's just hold off on the hardcore stuff for a little bit. Let's hold off on the fire. I just watched Darby Allin go through a glass. It looked amazing.
And if you're going to do fire, do it well. Don't have you don't need Julia Hart having to hold a lighter to it for 3 minutes to get it to light.
Or Malachi trying to put out Mark Briscoe when he's supposed to be a bad guy and just put him through the fire. Like, that could have just been a normal match.
Yep.
And it would have been fine. But they're probably WWE bound, I would say, Malachi and Buddy, at some point. I don't think that they're long for AEW.
I was going to say, remember my opening now. Instead of just saying my name, I was going to say I'm the guy that was at UFC with Rhea Ripley this weekend to answer Pat McAfee's question.
That was funny.
So prime time is the first note for our WWE section. I can only assume that refers to probably what is a very nasty energy drink.
You know, my kids love it. My kids love it.
My wife yells every time he's on the screen. By the way, I did get permission from her to tweet out some of the things that she says. She's a very private person. But like a week or two ago, I was like, because she says funny shit all the time. Sometimes I text y'all, and most of the time I don't. But I was like, do you mind if I tweet out shit that you say? So we got a couple the other night from her.
I mean, we've got a prime bottle right in the middle of the ring now. I mean,
that's gonna be ugly as shit.
It already is, but money's money, bad. Right?
They hurting that much for money though? Like, damn,
I don't think it's about hurting, but that's the moment you go into a publicly traded company, it's not about hurting. It's all about let's add that next dollar. Let's add that next dollar.
I mean, I get it. Listen, the Prime logo is ugly. I hate that it's going to be in the center of the ring. But Logan Paul's really good at wrestling. Randy Orton's cool. And that's kind of all you need for, at least for the WWE. You know, Randy Orton hitting the RKO on KSI, who I read was like a huge wrestling fan. So that's got to be a pretty cool moment. Taking an RKO.
I think my next note is probably about the pop-up RKO that we had on Theory.
Yeah.
That's like 95% Austin Theory.
Yeah.
If we don't get this man, listen, I'm about to go on another tangent. Austin Theory is fucking incredible. Okay. He had a picture at Dominic's wedding because I think Dominic got married this past weekend.
Yeah.
Austin Theory is in a black vest, glasses on, tie, looks like a fucking superstar. And for some reason, they have him just be a goofball and they have him wear fucking his regular ass t-shirts. This man should be in a suit. This man should have glasses. This man should be walking to the ring, being like, I'm 25 years old. I'm better looking than everybody. I wrestle better than everybody. I'm going to beat everybody's ass. He should beat Grayson Waller's ass.
I think that's coming.
And he should just be, if Gunther is going to move up to the main event scene, which it probably seems like what is going to happen post-WrestleMania, you are in desperate need of a mid-card heel who's a great worker, who can put on fantastic matches and be believable in that role. If a 235-pound, jacked, good-looking dude cannot be that role, then I don't know what you're doing.
I don't understand why he is not doing exactly what you're at. I mean, I have been a Theory believer for a long time. I mean, but
much like I asked, like when we were talking about Hook, like, are we missing something? Does the AEW management see something that we don't? I feel like they're missing something and people aren't seeing, and maybe they are coming around.
I would love to see Theory in Hook's position on WWE. I mean, he's got the look. And maybe it's the taint that he's got on him of how he was introduced.
Yeah, he has the golden egg, all the stink of Vince McMahon. He's got all that shit.
And we have seen how that plays out for people. Because the other person that had that, I guess there was two of them that kind of, because if you remember, Dolph kind of had that kind of touch for a while too. But Drew had to leave in order to do it and come back to be that
and
good.
That's what I've been saying. I think that is my fear with Austin Theory. I feel like if we are putting bets on who's going to be the next guy that leaves, that makes a name for himself on the indies and comes back a bigger star, I think it's him. The difference is, though, I think with a new regime at WWE, maybe you don't have to go through the let's have you leave and come back. I think you can rehabilitate him, but that rehabilitation needs to start. And I think we're toward the end of what he's doing right now. Yeah.
And I think we have to get through that, but I think you also need that type of match to be some of those in-between matches for WrestleMania. So if we're still having this conversation come November of next year, then you got to go. You got to go over to Japan, and I promise you'll be a huge star. But like when he has the match against Grayson Waller, I don't need it to be 15 minutes. I need it to be 4. And he beats the hell out of him. And commentary's like, has something awakened in Austin Theory? Are we in for a change? And then you book him like a killer that I think he can be. He's phenomenal. I'd like to see it too.
Yeah. If Karrion Kross had half the personality of Austin Theory, he'd be in good shape.
So the next note says showdown for the main events.
So that would have been your big standoff between the 4 big guys. Technically 3 big guys and Roman Reigns. Because let's face it, he is being outshined at this stage by everybody in that ring.
Speaking of people that make my wife irate, when Logan Paul's on the TV, she yells a lot. And the other night, she said, "You don't even go here," when The Rock came on.
That was a funny text.
When she was watching the Oscars Sunday night, they cut to a shot of The Rock in the crowd. She started fucking yelling.
Dude's doing his job.
Why the fuck does he have to be everywhere right now? She had perfectly no opinion about The Rock until he starts popping up in WWE again.
Dude's doing his job. And I mean, I don't like that I'm about to say these words, but diarrhea is getting over.
Unfortunately, is getting over. However, Seth Rollins did Friday night exactly what I wanted him to do.
Yeah.
Get up in the guy's face.
Well, you shut the hell up.
And then he had the great line, "You had your time. You're not going to take ours." That's the story. That's it. He was short, sweet, perfect. The Rock is going to do The Rock things. He's just going to say a bunch of stuff to say kind of nothing, but it's entertaining, and at least he's delivering it in a tone that makes it make sense. Cody is sort of the constant driving force. He gets everything across.
And The Rock took that slap wholeheartedly.
The Rock took it, like you said, the one dude amongst the four in that ring that looked like complete dog shit happens to be the guy that is going on a damn near 3-year run as the Universal Champion.
Now, is this part of that story, though, I guess is what because I'm just playing devil advocate here. We talk about how the hand signals that the Rock is given is that kind of him being overshadowed by everybody in there, leading into the story that they're trying to tell with his eventual Rock and him fight?
I think if that is the case, that's some 4D meta ass chess.
But again, and they have been doing so much of this lately, where all these little payoffs are.
I think that's a step too far, because if you were going to do that, there's no way in hell you would tell Roman Reigns to call Seth Rollins a cross-dresser in 2024. I think that Roman Reigns, for as good as what he has been in moments, he has to be the worst top guy that WWE has ever had.
I'm going to be honest with you on that line. I 100% believe if you put me on a witness stand and had a gun to my head and tell me to answer this question legit, I guarantee you Brian Gurewitz wrote that line for him.
Well,
because that is the same crap The Rock would say, only put into somebody else's mouth.
The Rock would deliver it in a better kind of way. Like, I made this little list because the whole time I was watching that thing, I was like, could Roman Reigns' dominance these past 4 years, could it have just been anybody? Because I have a list. Okay, keep in mind, Roman Reigns has main evented 7 WrestleManias, 8 WrestleManias, more WrestleManias than Hulk Hogan. I think the Hulk Hogan's the only ones that got more. And I've made a list of guys, and I just want us to talk about if you think Roman Reigns is a better professional wrestler and at the end of his career is going to mean more to professional wrestling than these guys I'm about to name. And this is just off the top of my head.
Your Honor, I need to enter into the record that up until this current run of Roman Reigns, I have thought Roman Reigns was overpushed and overhyped.
Well, cool. Well,
so I will be treated as a hostile witness.
So, Hulk Hogan. Does anybody think Roman Reigns means more to Hulk Hogan than Hulk Hogan?
Like in the landscape of professional wrestling?
Yeah, if I'm asking you, greatest professional wrestlers that meant more to the business.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan or Roman Reigns?
See, Hogan's got too much damn baggage now. So
I'm
true.
Eliminate all of that, but Hogan was my childhood.
I don't know, man.
The answer is no. By the way, it's pretty easy. Answer.
But it's not
Hulk,
anymore.
It's Hulk Hogan.
That dude has crapped on so many things. We're
not talking about what we know now.
Yeah.
We're talking about
slamming Andre and then forming the NWO.
I'm a real American.
Changing the business twice.
He changed the business. I will agree with that statement.
He's still a piece of shit.
He's still a piece of shit. We can all agree. The Rock.
Nah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Nah.
John Cena.
Nah.
Ric Flair. Answers no, by the way.
In his
Answers no.
In his prime, no. In the 30 years since Ric Flair has retired for the first time, yes.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. If you Ric Flair today,
that's the problem. Is Ric Flair didn't know when to stop.
But Ric Flair.
Keep in mind that he just was in a match last week.
I get that, but Ric Flair has so much influence over how modern day wrestling is.
Sure.
A lot of people have a Ric Flair impression. Even non-wrestling fans.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you talk about wrestling, if you walk up to somebody on the street and say, I want you to do an impression of a wrestler, Roman Reigns ain't going to be the wrestler.
And I think that goes a long way to say what Roman's right cachet is, but that's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 10 more people here that I think are The Undertaker.
Again, but he's not in that league. I would agree that he is not in the league of those legends at this stage.
Bret Hart.
Yes.
You think Roman Reigns is bigger than Bret Hart?
I do, because unfortunately Bret Hart had his moment, and that moment could have been more than what it was, but he did not. I think he is the best there is, the best was, best ever. I think he was amazing, but I don't think he shifted the landscape beyond smaller guys.
I think that Bret Hart, the next two guys on this is Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, are both the sort of pioneers of the modern American wrestling style that all these guys are emulating, that from Ospreay to Danielson to all these guys.
Here's just a quick opinion on it, because I would love to go back and listen to us talking about Roman a year ago leading up to WrestleMania. I think that WWE squandered it by not ending his reign last year, because even after WrestleMania last year, we're like, well, now what the fuck do they do for a year? And they've basically bored us to death of Roman Reigns, because we were talking about nuances in like his character and stuff last year. About
I think we're still talking about those nuances, and that's why we are looking at it from the interior of this as well. Everybody that's on your list so far had a long career, and it's in theory not there anymore. If we look at it 10 years from now, when Roman has finished all his stuff and we now see wrestling has shifted into this almost movie-esque dynamic that they have been using him for the last 2.5, 3 years, I think our opinions change on that. While I agree that Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, their body styles are more leading toward that lean, athletic style as opposed to the bodybuilder look, I don't think that storyline or storytelling wise, Bret Hart revolutionized it.
No, he's both Hart and Shawn Michaels were hearkening back to sort of, Flair. They had elements of Flair and Harley Race, but like, if you want to talk about this idea of like fingerprints in the business, there's not a match you can watch on WWE or AEW that doesn't have shades of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in it.
I enjoyed Bret Hart. He was not the best Hart.
Maybe not, but like he is with like, you can look at the influence of guys like what you said. If we did this list 10 years from now, you think Roman Reigns is going to be higher. And when we do this list 10 years from now, I don't think anybody is going to have shades of Roman Reigns, because I don't think there's anything there to take from that. Which was part of my thinking about thinking this, is that like, I think honestly at this point, if the machine would have got behind Drew McIntyre or Seth Rollins or a guy like Bobby Lashley, like I think there are so many guys, I say so many, there's probably a half a dozen dudes who could have taken the place of Roman Reigns, not in this specific bloodline story, but been the top dog in WWE for the past 5 years. And they could have been just as successful, if not more successful, than what Roman Reigns
Who would you have put in that spot?
That's what, like a Drew McIntyre, returning Drew McIntyre 3 years ago, coming off of beating Brock Lesnar. If they would have pushed him as this is the biggest, baddest dude on the planet, I think he could have done it.
He got the COVID shaft, right?
He did. But I also think Roman Reigns is the only one that can be cast in this story.
In this particular bloodline story, sure, yeah, I'll give you that. It doesn't make sense with anybody else. But I'm just talking about going back to when this all started, when Roman Reigns was coming out, wreck everybody and leave. That's when this era of dominance started.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that has been Roman's gimmick since the beginning. He was being shoved down our throats since the Shield. I mean, he was the least deserving person in that group, but he was the one that had the hand pushing him all the way.
Right. We didn't talk about Cody and Seth coming in through the crowd the other night, like the Shield.
Did they? I missed that.
Oh, did they come out through the crowd?
Yeah,
I missed that.
They came out through the crowd.
Huh. But there is no one else that can be into that position. I think the fact that he is, when you think of wrestling promos, he's shifting how they are doing in the sense that he's not yelling. He's having conversations just like this. That's not. If you ask somebody to do a wrestling promo, the volume's going to jump up 10 decibels.
I think that's one of the things that we talked about this time a year ago, where like he was the insecure, like he gives off this persona of he's the big dog, he's the guy, he's the head of the table, but then like his nuanced stuff backstage, they're not doing that shit anymore. Like the stuff where...
But they still are somewhat. You're still getting out. When he came out there, however many weeks ago it was, and was like, I need you to do one thing for me. I need you to acknowledge me. That's still that nuance.
Sure.
But it's not in those backstages anymore. Because he now has his entourage that includes one of the most powerful actors in the world right now. It's not going to be backstage. And that's what it goes back to those nuances of is he being overshadowed on purpose kind of thing. And you're thinking I'm taking that too far. I don't know if I am. And I think that goes back to the fact that he's changing the business to be more of a movie-based direction as opposed to that over-the-top
But
action
is that,
hero.
I guess what I'm saying is, or what I'm asking is that a product of Roman Reigns himself, the performer, or is that a product of the people internally making these decisions and writing these stories going in that direction? Because if it is that, then whoever Roman Reigns is, that actor, the character itself, like whoever's playing the top guy, I do think you could just replace. And that's what I think it is. Like, I think if this would have been Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins.
I don't think Bobby Lashley could have carried it.
Okay. So
I don't think, again, the storyline, if Drew is now imitating Roman. If you think about it, he's coming in there and he's soft speaking the truth. So, but that's not what he used to do. No,
but I believe that Drew McIntyre is a better natural performer on the microphone. Honestly, at this point, now we don't talk about in ring. I think he's much better in ring than Roman Reigns. Personality wise and charisma on the mic, I think he is also better than Roman Reigns. Like,
leads to the next topic. Drew channels Patrick.
Full on channeled you the other day, where he was, when he started mocking the Seth Rollins laugh, all I could think about was you. And I'm like going, this is why I go back to, this is the character Seth needs to be portraying so that Drew can do all these things that he's doing. When Seth is talking about that multitasking and how he's got 99 problems and Drew ain't one, you need Seth to be that clown ass, but he's also having to raise his game, and he finally did this past week for the other part, and he continued it on this week.
Yeah, when it came to Seth, that's what Friday night. That's all I needed to see from Seth. I just needed a little snippet of it to get up in his face, and that's all I need. He can go back to being. It was never the crazy outfits or any of that stuff that bothered me any kind of way or thought it was silly. Like, there have been guys that have Ric Flair wore damn sequin ropes, for God's sakes. Like, crazy outfits are just what
Jimmy
wrestling
Valiant,
is.
I mean,
yeah.
Ventura, all these guys.
But there was just needed to be at least a little bit of air of seriousness. And I get why he doesn't have the seriousness against Drew McIntyre, because like the story is portraying. He does not see him as a threat the same way he sees The Rock.
Or Roman, because
sure.
he's living in Roman's shadow.
Yeah.
And again, that is a Roman character because he has had that hand on his back pushing him the entire way. If Roman had not been that character, you don't get some of these other people that have been living in the shadow that are trying to step out of that shadow.
Maybe. It's just that when there are 4 guys in the ring and the supposed top guy of WWE is the one that looks by far the worst, it just makes you question, is this dude actually talented? Or is he just happening to be the lucky guy who management, for whatever reason, decided it's going to be this, you are it.
And you're making me angry that I'm defending Roman Reigns. I'm so mad at this.
I mean, I had 15 dudes that I didn't even think it was a conversation.
I was in the boat with Bray with anybody but Roman. You know, anytime it's Roman Reigns, I want him. He didn't have heat with me. He had go away.
Yeah, and I think he will be a fascinating topic of conversation when his career is over with.
But I definitely think that all the things that led up to where we are here now, we're looking at it from inside at this moment. If we look at it from the outside later, I may have a different opinion, but it feels like what he's doing is making a change in how story, and it may not be him. It may all be the creative team, because this is the first time in WWE that we have had a non-Vince creative team.
Yeah.
So we are getting a new flavor, and maybe it is just he's a plug and play person, but at this point, that plug and play in him are leading us into something that is new, fresh, and exciting.
He just happens to be the worst part of what is happening right now. Which is what I can't get over the fact that, okay, here's your moment, big guy. Here's The Rock. Here's Seth. There's Cody.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's take the worst. Take The Rock out of that equation right there, because The Rock is The Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, Roman Reigns ain't going to leave WWE to go join Hollywood and become the next Rock or the next John Cena.
No. At
best, he would do a Miz or a Triple H at best.
Yeah.
Cody by far is the top guy they have right now. So take those 2 out, because Cody being the good guy in this is going to set him apart from them at all. If Seth had not come out and stepped up his game last week or on Friday, whenever it was, would you have been thinking that Roman was the weakest link in that, or was Seth Rollins the weakest link the week before?
No, Seth probably still would have been the weakest link, but he did step his moment up in that segment. And for as much as Roman hasn't had to do a lot of the lifting promo-wise in these past 3 weeks, because he's really only done the acknowledge me thing to The Rock. And then in this past week, he had the cross-dresser line, which landed like a wet fart. Nobody, even Seth, chuckled, because bro, that's what you had to say. Like, shit, there's all kinds of other stuff. But that's what he's been saying he's been saying that forever. So that's his 90s Rock. And I again go back, all that stuff kind of started when The Rock came back. So I'm pretty sure I know who's behind that. It could be.
But I also think, again, I think this is part of that storyline of that The Rock overshadows him, that while The Rock has acknowledged him, he ain't the tribal chief at this stage.
I think that when Cody takes the belt off Roman at WrestleMania, which I think will happen, I think Cody is going to go on a run, and his ring work and the promo skills and the character work is going to be so compelling, and he will have the machine behind him, that people are going to start to question, why was Roman Reigns in the position he was for these 3 years? And why did I never really feel about Roman the way that we now feel about Cody after Cody has this long run? Because for the most part, for the past year, Roman's not been the backbone of WWE. It's been Cody Rhodes.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And Cody's promo Monday night with Michael Cole, I thought was absolutely fantastic. It was emotional.
Yep.
I do not think Roman Reigns is capable of doing that.
The closest we've gotten that is when he was stepping out for leukemia. But then when he came back as a bad guy.
Right.
So we haven't had that moment to kind of feel him in the role that Cody is. And again, I did not like non-bad guy Roman Reigns.
Hear me out.
Right.
Can Christian Cage be Cody's daddy?
Listen, the further and further we get away from the Sami Zayn, Jey Uso story with the bloodline that captivated all of us last year, the more and more I think the reason that worked is because Sami
and Jey
are such good performers. They finally got a shot in the
so fucking
spotlight.
over. And the next topic actually says short but yeet. I love that title. Jey is so fucking over right now. Like the crowd loves main event Jey Uso.
What I loved about this promo is how different it stood out versus everything else that the WWE puts out. Because it wasn't a 15-minute thing. It was a 5-minute, yo, you done screwed me over 3 times, big bro. You know, I'm going to whip your ass. Dig it? I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, that was it.
Hype the crowd. Get Pat McAfee standing on a table.
Yep.
I mean, they've always talked about this. They wanted to have this match at WrestleMania against each other.
And this is another example. There have been so many dick jokes, so many, gay sex jokes, so many cross-dressing jokes, so many other things. And that was another example. You got Pat McAfee standing on the thing talking about how he's yeeting all over things, just like Adam Cole yeeted in his pants last week over the antlers. It's like, when did we get back to that 90s garbage?
I don't know. It didn't work for me. That don't work for me, bro. But yeah, Jey Uso, fantastic. He's going to factor into the main event at WrestleMania on night 2.
Oh yeah, when the bloodline rules. I mean, the bloodline rules mean that anything goes. It doesn't say that that's all one side.
Yeah.
Do we still think Cody's assembling the Avengers?
Yeah. You're going to hear some glass break at WrestleMania, I think.
You're holding that hope, and I don't know if I've got that
think
hope.
so. I think you're going to see it.
I don't know why you'd be exercising in a place where with a camera set up like that. If I don't know, that's just me.
So the question is, does KO show up for that?
Probably. I think anybody that's had anything to do with Roman Reigns that has been put down by the bloodline will show up night 2.
So you got Randy Orton popping out.
Yep.
You got, the question is, when Sami shows up, will he have a belt?
Yeah. Yes. I'm going to say yes. I think Sami wins at WrestleMania.
I don't think he does.
I think he does.
And I don't know if it's going to be I think it might be a triple threat now.
No, you and these triple threats. You want Nia Jax in there?
No, I think I'm moving away from that one because they seem to be.
I would not fucking watch WrestleMania if they put Nia Jax in a goddamn triple threat.
I get the impression now because they had Becky and Liv, have that match. So
it's a great match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
So you got Liv out of the picture. Nia entered in there. So you got Becky going against Nia next week. I think she'll get past there. And I think you end up having a Liv Nia Jax match at WrestleMania. And we just let Rhea and Becky do it.
Why can't we just have Liv and Nia on like Friday? Do we need that at WrestleMania?
I think they try to get as many people in WrestleMania, give them a payday as possible.
I mean,
whatever.
The mentality of WrestleMania has dramatically changed in the digital age when they're not shilling me the DVD sales where everybody is trying to get that money before they get released the following month.
Yeah.
But I think the mentality of it is get as many people on this one card so they can all have their quote unquote WrestleMania moment. But no, I don't think Sami wins. And I think Chad Gable, if you notice in that match, he had his shoulders up.
But so I've seen people point that out. Is that something that they actually try to do, or is that similar to what they're like? Are they just going to sweep that under the rug and be like, that didn't happen?
I think they're trying to do it. I think they're going with that angle like they tried to do with Ivar and whoever it was, The Miz.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they just pulled this one off slightly better.
I mean,
Totally
listen,
missed that.
I'm not mad if they make it a triple threat between Gable and Sammy and Gunther. Like I said, I think that's an easy way to have Gunther to take the title off of him, not have him eat a pin. But like I said, I think somebody big that you're going to have, that you got stock into, needs to take this title off Gunther, because you can't just have it be a kind of a nobody. Not that Chad Gable is a nobody, because he has the fans behind him, and that was a fantastic match.
I mean, he's getting the Cody treatment just as much as, and that's sad because it's not like people hate Sammy.
Yeah,
but they're you're getting the Gable.
And listen, Sammy's won the Intercontinental title before.
Yep.
Gable's never won it. So if you wanted to pull the trigger and have a first timer feel good moment, I think WrestleMania needs some kind of feel good moment outside of Cody Rhodes, because I do think Cody Rhodes will win at WrestleMania.
I'm kind of shocked that according to what they said on Monday, is that Drew and Seth are night 2.
Oh yeah, we can't have.
They called it a co-headline last night. Drew, it sounds like Drew and Seth night 2, and then Cody and
Drew and Seth will start night 2. That'll be the first match, and Seth will lose.
If they're calling it a co-headline, I don't think that's going to be an intro.
I think it is, because I think night 2. After night 1 of WrestleMania, the story is going to be, is the bloodline going to rule everything? And I think they should. I don't know. They should continue that story into night 2 by saying, "Oh damn, Seth, one of Cody's allies, he's gone down. Maybe it was too much. Drew McIntyre is your new champion," and then you can kind of play it out that way as it keeps going.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, because it wouldn't surprise me if you see Drew McIntyre make a run in at the main event of WrestleMania night 2. I think everybody is just going to.
But another point toward the Gable triple threat is the tag team thing. Otis and Tozawa are competing and for the potential spots.
Yeah.
So it's not even Gable and.
So I mean, maybe I'm not mad at it. They had it. Wouldn't be mad at it.
So does Damian Priest try to cash in a briefcase either night?
I stand by my thing.
Oh God, I forgot about Jesus Christ.
I don't. Bro, if that happens, I swear to God, I will. If Damian Priest ends up walking out of WrestleMania the Universal Champion, I'm going to write.
I'll be convinced that Vince is back.
I'm going to write a complaint letter. I'm going to write a complaint. Then I don't know who I'm going to send it to, but I'll send it to somebody. I'll get Paul Levesque's work P.O. box.
Yeah, just find the Stanford address, and then just put big letters, Triple H at the top.
I mean, no offense to Damian Priest, but like, there's nothing there.
I'm just waiting on Steven's reaction.
Steven ain't got one. He knows it's true. There's nothing there.
The only thing he has is the briefcase, and he has squandered it for a year.
He looks like the bassist of a fucking alt-rock band that hit it really popular in the mid-2000s.
And let's be honest, they're already auditioning as a replacement.
Like, give me Andrade in the fucking Judgment Day. Every time that dude comes on camera, he's just so damn captivating, even though he doesn't say anything.
I mean, Dominic's behind him. Finn's behind him. Rhea's offering him stuff. The only person that seems to be out of that loop are JD and Damian. And JD is just there.
So, I don't know. I mean, they don't have a Judgment Day problem necessarily, because Rhea Ripley is a huge star. And Finn Balor still has some charisma, but Damian is nothing. Damian is a generic creator wrestler.
He had potential, but he needs to do the rehab at this stage.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of guys have potential, and then they get put in situations to highlight them, and then they get exposed.
The only thing that, I mean, like I said, if he cashes in the briefcase, comes out with the title, that in itself could be a rehab for him, but he would have to show off after that. He would have to step up a game like he has never shown.
That's a lot to try to put on somebody, being like, here's a belt, we need you to step up. I don't know if that's the right way to go about
what
that.
They should do is just have Cody win at WrestleMania. Monday after WrestleMania, Damian tries to cash in. He's unsuccessful, and we just wipe our hands of this and go forward.
I mean, that would be a solid answer of how to get him out of Judgment Day. You had all the opportunities. You fucked it up one too many times. Andrade's here.
Andrade hits him with that damn beautiful spinning elbow, and boom, there we go. off
I
to the
believe we
races.
call that the Judas effect.
No, we do not call that the Judas effect. I don't know what Andrade is.
See, too many people are doing the same move. That's.
It doesn't look like the way when he does
It
it.
don't
I
look.
know.
Yeah,
I know.
His looks good.
geriatric Jericho's ass out there.
Yeah.
So we did touch on the Liv and Becky match, which was phenomenal last night, I thought. And then it says Intercontinental match. We kind of went through that with Sammy winning. We didn't really touch on. I mean, we touched on it, but we don't have to fully discuss it. We know the outcome. We know what's happening.
The only other thing that really, I mean, you had a bunch of backstage promos. You had the Judgment Day 6-way ladder match was announced, which I think is a great way to separate those belts.
Yeah, they probably won't separate them though.
One person grabs one blue one person grabs a red one from an opposite team, fall down.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. That'd be a cool little
It's a good wrinkle.
wrinkle. Yeah. It's going to be curious to see who they put in those matches. They're a little light on tag teams.
They were talking about how deep their tag team division is. I'm like,
I would agree with that. They have a deeper tag team than
just
you
because
realize.
they got it deep doesn't mean it's
You got whatever what is it? The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
you can't name them, so that's
You can't name them.
I can't think of the stupid name right now. But Butch and Tyler Bates.
Oh, New Catch Republic.
New Catch
That's
Republic.
not a stupid name, though. I like that name.
Yeah, the New Catch Republic. You got, let's see, you got the Alpha Academy, which I don't think is going to be there. You got Regeneration X. You're going to have R-Truth and Miz in there. You're going to have Indus Shear. Imperium is going to be in there.
Who's Indus Shear?
What
Who
are
the
they
hell are
called?
those guys?
Those are the guys that were hanging out with Jinder Mahal.
Oh, they got a name? I didn't know they had a name.
Well, that's what they used to be called. I don't know if that's what they're called now.
they're not. They don't count.
You got the Street Profits.
I could see the Street Profits.
I like the Street Profits,
Yeah.
but if they ever, we all watch Street Profits and be like, Montez is awesome. Why isn't he going to get his singles pushed? And we've been saying that for 18 months.
You got Karrion Kross saying that too.
Karrion Kross sucks.
But he's planting those seeds of betrayal in there, and that's awesome.
The emo band Hot Topic t-shirt people.
You got the Authors of Pain.
Oh yeah,
they haven't been able to show off what they can do, but those are two huge dudes that can toss some of these people around pretty easy.
I will give you, they have a lot of tag teams, but outside of
that's what I'm saying. Just because you got the numbers, don't mean that it's
outside
a good
of
division.
Miz and Truth and DIY, and I guess New Catch Republic, but they're so new.
New Day.
I mean, sure, yeah, New Day at any point you give them a run back. They're legitimate stars. It's just a little and WWE's never had a fantastic tag division. It's never been on fire.
This is the best tag division. Creed Brothers, you got them in there.
Where they been though?
They have been doing evidently the Level Up or Dark or whatever the heck they call that show over there. They're repackaging them a little bit. It looks like.
I do like those guys.
They got a new theme.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I think we said on the podcast, they can't just be good wrestlers, generic guys. They got to have something.
This comes back to we're at a certain moment of time where there's a new direction there. Because Vince has always been, why am I paying two guys when I can only pay one?
Fucking put it on Butch and Tyler.
Well, if FTR would have went back to WWE, you would have to think they would be like what Gunther is in the mid-card scene, they would be to the tag team scene.
But that's why I kind of feel like they'll split this, where you might have them New Catch Republic end up with the SmackDown side and Miz Truth end up with...
they don't need to be fucking United titles on there. Spread that shit around a little bit on each show. That way it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I think Butch and Tyler could do it as far as young talent guys. They're just starting, but like I say, they're just starting out as a team, rather. But there's not anybody else that
Pretty Deadly.
If I heard their,
those guys I find entertaining. I don't know if they're necessarily.
I don't know how they pull off the slow motion live shot, but that shit is funny as hell.
It's pretty
in
funny.
their entrance. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of tag teams in the division where I'm stop and be like, oh, well, I'm going to have to watch this.
They should pair up Andrade and Dom.
I mean, why not?
Just let them be a tag team.
You got the LWO groups that are tags.
I can't tell who's in that group now and who's not. I don't. Everybody. it just goes back and forth.
You got Los Lotharios. That's your Humberto and Angel Garcia.
Where did they come from? Humberto was like coming up when I started watching wrestling 5 years ago, and they're like, this kid is going to be the shit. And then he fucking disappeared. And then 2 weeks ago, we're like, Humberto was on. I was like, where the fuck has he been?
He was down in NXT for a little bit, but this is his return. And then you got the Joaquin and Wild.
Who are they?
That's the group that used to be with Legado de Fantasma that are now on Ray's team that he betrayed.
Somebody needs different colored trunks. Everybody looks the same in that luchador mask or something.
Let's talk about teams that like we would give a shit about. We've named all these teams, but nobody gives
more
a shit
shits about those ones than you have 3 teams in AEW that I give a shit about.
That's 3 more than any of the potential contenders we just talked about.
No, because Imperium, New Day, Creed Brothers.
Imperium is not shit without Gunther.
I disagree. But
yeah, they're not.
I mean, Gunther makes them better.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could say that about anybody.
It's just the tag team having FTR and AEW is kind of like a cheat code for tag team wrestling. And like, the Judgment Day is not to the level of like FTR.
I would agree with that statement. But again, as you said, that's a cheat code.
Yeah.
But BCC, FTR, and I used to be all in on House of Black, but I'm losing that because they've just been circling the same garbage. That's what they need to
do. Fucking go back over there and run through the division over there.
That would be good for them.
They're not going to put Malachi in a position to do anything as a singles guy. They gave him a shot a couple years ago. He left to AEW and formed a fucking faction. Right?
I think, I don't know when their contracts are up, but having Malachi back with Buddy in a tag team scene
wouldn't be mad at that.
Makes a lot of sense.
But, I mean, do I care about all those teams I named more than I care about Top Flight? Yes. Do I care about those teams more than I care about the Private Party? Yes. Do I care about it more than the Lucha Brothers whenever they finally come back together? Yes.
Top Flight was pretty fucking entertaining the last couple of weeks on TV.
Well, I mean, a tag division comprised of FTR, BCC, whatever,
Bucks,
Bullet Club,
Best Friends.
Goal,
And I've lost interest in because the Acclaim, because the Bullet Club, because the Bang Bang Scissor Game faction has turned into just complete joke thing because of how all that garbage went down with them with MJF and all that. I don't care about them.
Yeah, but that's not Bang Bang Scissor Gang isn't going to last more than another month or so.
I think Jay White has that match at Big Business, and Darby had that promo where it was like, I want to see the Jay White that main evented Tokyo Dome twice. I think that there's
if Darby walks out of that match the winner, going to climb Mount Everest, and Jay eats the pin there, you see exactly where he is on that card.
It was kind of weird for him to announce that he's going to do Mount Everest because they very clearly need to beat the shit out of him and write him off TV for a few weeks, right?
You would think, but
I think Jay White beats the hell out of him.
Yeah, that's my hope. But Darby is my early Roman Reigns, where they just keep shoving his ass down my throat, and I don't care.
But he ain't the main event. See, Roman Reigns was being shoved down the throat while he was winning Royal Rumbles and winning championships and main event WrestleManias. Darby just jumps off stuff every now and then and goes through it.
But when he's one of only 10 people that is shown constantly on a show, he's in that position. Him and Hook both.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll agree with you on Hook.
Yeah. You don't have a fight there from me.
I'm not going good looking kid, but let's you need to let it play out a little bit.
You can tell he's starting to get a little money. He ain't had no tattoos when he came up. And now every week he's got a new tattoo.
If you have to tell me you're the good looking guy, you ain't the good looking guy.
Hook's a good look. Hook if I was a 15-year-old girl, I bet I'd be head over heels for Hook. The hair. It's the hair in and of itself. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes him harder to do his corner of the ring move now. They took off the ring post cameras.
That and this duck face thing going on. I'm just out.
Hey, well, y'all got any final thoughts? Let's wrap it up. We're at about an hour and a half here.
No, I mean, WrestleMania around the corner.
Few weeks out.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're 3 weeks now?
3 weeks. We'll have WrestleMania and then 3 weeks later, we'll have AEW Dynasty, and
I'm very curious about what else they'll put on that card. I figure we'll see Tony versus Mercedes. Obviously, Danielson and Ospreay.
Do you heat Mercedes up that quickly? Because that's a 3-week turnaround of her debut to that pay-per-view when you're trying to keep some
further than that, because that pay-per-view was at the end of the.
I would give it to Mercedes. Now, whether they do that, yeah. I think Mercedes is a big enough of a star that sometimes you do need to hotshot people straight to the top.
It's about 6 weeks, right? If we're splitting hairs.
And I mean, Mercedes she's had 2 of the best women's matches I've ever seen in my entire life. So, I mean, you could make the argument that her against Bayley at NXT TakeOver pretty much changed women's wrestling in America for what they did.
Did we talk about this last week? Does Bayley win over Io Sky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Rhea. I want Rhea to retain too.
I think you Bayley, Rhea, a combination of Sammy or Chad Gable if they go that way.
There's a part of me that says Gunther retains.
Drew McIntyre.
That one you have
Cody
to,
Rhodes.
because Drew leads into your Jay getting his title run.
Then they'll set up Drew versus Pepsi Phil, right?
Oh yeah, that's the match when it comes. Yeah, he ain't taking shots at CM Punk for no reason. That's
he's supposed to be coming back in the next 2 weeks.
Chicago show. Yeah, to do an appearance, and he better eat a Claymore right in the face from Drew McIntyre.
What was his injury anyway?
Tricep or
tricep.
Yeah.
Oh, like fucked up Cody tricep, or no? That was a pec.
That was a pec.
Okay.
Yeah. In the words of John Moxley, fragile mind, fragile body, weak spirit.
That's right. You can eat a Claymore with a fucked up.
Yeah, he'd be fine.
But he's evidently living in Moxley's head too, though. He's living in all these people's heads.
He's in all these people's heads.
He is living in AEW's head, and he's not even in the company anymore.
Well, they got a moment. They got the people. It's going to be whether Tony Khan can take them to the promised land.
I had to explain that to Jamie the other night. It was Collision. She's like, "Has this always been a thing?" I was like, for about a year, a little less than a year. I was like, they had to do this show because they had to put CM Punk on TV for somewhere, and he and the Bucks and Kenny Omega had this thing, and then he got fucking injured the week after that, broke his fucking ankle on a guardrail trying to be a dumbass in the crowd, and then he comes back, and then it felt like 3 weeks later after they debuted the show, he got fucking injured, and then he has this incident backstage with Jungle Boy in August, so I was like, within a span of just a few months, all this shit is popping off, and he got fired.
See, that's the thing. I get that it's Saturday Night Main Event. That's literally what Collision is. But if that's going to be your B show, you need to bring some B material.
Yeah.
Especially when your A show ain't bringing A material.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it for a couple weeks in a row. Like, they are definitely in a slump.
And your Friday show is D material.
Yeah, we won't even talk about Friday show.
Well, yeah, we don't talk about Rampage.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's the end of the show. Hopefully they'll get there. That's all I can say is that Collision was the shit when it started out. And it was even the shit after Punk was off of
There's
it for a
been
little
some
while.
good FTR and Bullet Club Gold 58 minutes or whatever. I mean, they've had moments, but
right.
it ain't what it is.
Your gimmick can't be you're good at wrestling.
In AEW, it can be, yeah. It ain't. I mean, for that fan base, for sure.
Yeah,
but that's a different. And I will say, if you haven't seen what Jack Perry's doing in Japan, give it a watch. Our boy's getting better.
I've seen a couple of the things that y'all have sent in the group chat, but I haven't watched them.
I like that he's coming out in the goat mask.
He's got a badass goat mask.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
It's like a Black Phillip mask.
I saw the scapegoat stuff, right?
He's got some merch. We always said the guy had potential. Did this whole incident with CM Punk light a fire under his ass? I don't know, possibly. He's doing good work right now, and he is getting a shit ton of heat.
Are you talking about the matches
Japan.
or just the
both?
Gotcha.
The in ring and the promo.
I'm wondering how much of this is exile and how much of this is self-imposed.
I think this is just we don't have anything for you go to Japan, get
But see,
better.
could he have gotten better here now because this gimmick wouldn't have worked in AEW?
And some guys just need a change of scenery. We see it in sports all the time. You trade team, you get traded from teams. Like sometimes you do just need a break. And he is young enough to be in Japan. What he's going to do is he will come back and he'll be with the Young Bucks and Okada. That'll be the faction. Because he congratulated Sting on his retirement. He was like, you were in the ring with two fantastic wrestlers.
Yeah.
And he's mentioned in promos in Japan that they needed somebody to pin up on the cross, but there's a couple of people that have had his back through all of this. He will be the member with the Young Bucks. And that's not a bad spot for him.
Gotcha.
We'll see what happens with him.
Well, do they do that? When do they bring him back?
I think he's got a little bit.
Let him go for a while.
Yeah, just let him go over there. He's joined a new faction in Japan. So
That just happened, yeah.
I'm betting all in.
could be something like that. You could see some Forbidden Door crossover.
Go through
maybe.
a car window.
He just comes back. That's real glass.
Nah, they just put real glass in all the golf carts that they run people over with.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. That's going to be it for this edition or this episode of the Alabama Slam podcast. You can find us at thealabamatake.com. We have a network of fellow podcasters there. There's weekly sports podcasts, 2 different ones. There's a Star Wars podcast, TV podcasts, music podcasts, etc., book podcasts. And you can go to tpublic.com and buy shirts for the Alabama Slam and or any of the other podcasts in our network. You can just search for the Alabama Take and find our store there. And yeah, we'd appreciate it if you buy one. Tell your friends about us if you enjoy us. And we will talk to y'all next week.